It's news time. Information is power. Be current. The news headline. 2023. Why fake Buhari vowed to drag Peter Obi to court? Does he have the right to do so? One of the major issues dominating public discussions is the 2023 presidential election, which will hold early next year. So far, contenders have been declaring their intention to run for president of the country under different political parties. However, a former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has not declared his intention to contest despite being tipped by several Nigerians to run for the post. This does not go down well with many of his supporters, and one of them, who is identified online as Fake Buhari, had to speak up, vowing to drag Obi to court if he fails to declare his bid to run for president in 2023. In fact, the core supporter of Obi, known as Fake Buhari online, specifically told the former governor to forget about football and AFCON events, but he should go ahead and join the 2023 presidential race. He made it clear that he and other supporters will back Obi if he does so, but if Obi fails to join the race, then he will drag him to court to compel him to contest for the post, adding that the former governor of Anambra's calling is excellent economic leadership. Well, anybody has the right to take a legal action against another person. Yes, he has the right to drag Obi to court for this reason or any other reason. Obi seemed to know this fact by appealing to the man and others to give him more time to consult and decide. Obi added that he does not have money for court case. However, while the man has the right to sue Obi, that does not mean he will win the case to compel him to contest for president. Contesting election is the right of an individual. That person has to willingly declare his or her bid to contest. Nobody can force anyone or get the court to compel another person to contest for election. And this has been the case, and this means that if Fake Buhari drags Obi to court on this issue, the court is most likely going to strike out the case for lack of merit. While the man has the right to drag Obi to court, the court cannot oblige the man by compelling Obi to contest for the post, because everyone has the freedom of choice to contest or not. Regardless of how good your intentions might be, no matter how hard you try, you can't please everyone. Sad how some people have decided to be so toxic on the government, no matter the pro-people's policies, or Shiomole wrote on Twitter. Meanwhile, the Igbo sociocultural group Ohanaeze Ndigbo has demanded a political solution to be deployed in resolving the matter of the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. The President General of the group, George Obiozor, while making a case for the Biafra agitator, said that if the federal government could grant amnesty to repentant Boko Haram terrorists and the Niger Delta militants, there is nothing stopping it from considering the case of Nnamdi Kanu and also that of Sunday Adeyemo Igboho. Speaking on Thursday during an interview on Channels Television, Obiozor argued that the Igbo people are not at war with the rest of Nigerians, urging that President Muhammadu Buhari needs to reconsider his stand not to release the detained IPOB leader. He said that Nnamdi Kanu, who is currently facing charges bordering on treasonable felony and terrorism, deserves to be given another chance and forgiven, as force is a dangerous option for everyone at this particular period in time. And that is one of the reasons why the former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, that is Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, had actually spoken to defend President Muhammadu Buhari in this case, saying that he is actually doing his very best, and that those people that are criticizing, most of his regime are people that have always found pleasure in being toxic about the federal government of Nigeria.
Muhammadu Buhari was seen as the nemesis of corrupt politicians, and that image, which could not help him during previous electoral attempts, was capitalized on by the Southwest media to burnish and garnish a political reputation against an admittedly helplessly gutless and hapless leadership of Goodluck Jonathan. But history is a mercilessly ruthless judge. While previously clueless and corrupt, Jonathan has become a beautiful bride of international diplomacy and democratic behavior. The anti-corruption warrior is now mired in a government that, by its own reckoning, has become the most inept and corrupt in our history. To be fair, the president did not promise much in the electioneering campaigns in both elections. Throughout the campaigns, his mantra, repeated like a broken record, was fighting corruption, insurgency, and improving the economy. His performance on all three counts is suspect, dubious, and undistinguished. Most people would even declare him a failure. By its own admission, even the government does not point to any of them as its main achievement, which is curious. To it, their greatest achievement is building infrastructure, which was a kind of an afterthought, as it never featured in its 2015 election campaigns. The curiosity is, how could one major in a subject on which he was not tested in an examination? On his greatest failure, agreement will be as difficult to reach. Insecurity has become a major menace in the country, and no part of his nation is spared. But because that is not his greatest failure, nor is the crumbling economy, which he was never given a chance in the first place. It has never been this bad since the war, and although President Muhammadu Buhari was elected to deal with the problem of insurgency in the northeast, his regime was added the nefarious activities of herdsmen and now bandits, who have not only made life brutally short and unbearable for most rural communities, especially farmers who have abandoned their farms, which has led to the threat of food scarcity and hunger in the country. The Nigerians are paying such humongous price on account of corruption in the public service in the government that promised to stamp it out is a monumental indictment of President Muhammadu Buhari and his legitimacy for the office. The paradox is that for every extra kobo that goes into fictitious projects and salaries, there is a corresponding denial of public-oriented spending to improve people's lives. Also, such increase in recurrent spending is directly responsible for the unending borrowing by this government to fund its acclaimed infrastructure development in a situation that mortgages the future of the country and the next generation. Consequently, the reason we are borrowing is not entirely because there is no money, as government has consistently maintained, but because its employees are siphoning the money into their private pockets at the expense of the generality of Nigerians. The obvious implication of this development is that the current anti-corruption strategy is defective and inappropriate, thinking that the main culprits in corruption are the political office holders. This view featured heavily in Buhari's approach in dealing with members of the Second Republic political class. But it is simply untenable because the political class does not have accounting powers, which belongs to the career civil servants. So it is financially impossible for the politicians to steal money from government coffers without the active involvement and collusion of the bureaucrats themselves. Also, for a minister or commissioner to steal a dime, the bureaucrat must be involved. Entire budgets of the country through the manners of expenditure. They also prepare the budget. Therefore, we have to revise and change the approach and train searchlight more on the public servants to actually get to the root of the matter. And also, focusing on the few political office holders is a way